Hey sis, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt alone? Maybe anxious, or maybe like you just wish you could find a good group of women who loved the Lord. Do you want a safe place to talk about all of the real life challenges, life as a working mom, stay-at-home mom, entrepreneur, or simply just raising your kids in today's world? Do you want to grow deeper in your marriage, to find out your true identity and whose you truly are, to know your calling, your purpose, and overall grow intentionally with Jesus? Then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Gather the Gals, a podcast and ministry created for you, the everyday woman and mom, for all of my gals who want to know their voice matters, their story matters, who want to have a place to feel loved, supported, and encouraged, to find joy in Jesus and not this world, to leave the lies of the enemy behind. Then welcome. Our motto around here is we keep it raw and real, girl, knowing that we have been redeemed. We aren't perfect, but we have a Savior who is. And you, my sweet, sweet friend, are welcome to come as you are. Now let's chat on all the things. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gather the Gals. I'm your host, Lyncon, and today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Kelsey Hall. She joins us from Thrive Family Therapy. She's a mama and a sweet friend, and I'm so excited that she is finally able to join us. We have been trying to talk for so long, I feel like, and I'm like, it's going to happen. That's what we kept saying. It's like, okay, it's going to happen. People need to hear her heart. And yeah, so I'm just really excited for you to be joining us today and tell us whatever you want to tell us about yourself, your heart, your business, all the things, sister.
Gosh. So my heart has always been in therapy and being a mama. And so I'm a mom of three. I have a daughter who's in kinder and she's 6. I have a 4-year-old boy, and then I have a 2-year-old boy. So life is chaotic.
Yeah, like literally the same, sister. I love that.
I have to say to myself, what is this? Like, what? I can go work out. I can eat my own food. So yeah, it's pretty busy with them, but I did this last year start my own private practice. It's been a dream of mine for years and years. And it's finally come true. And I felt like God just kind of helped make that happen. When we moved out to Alito, it was like a fresh start and he's to do. But and I also wanted to be able to bless the community and help the community in that. So it's been interesting but fun.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me, okay, so you said you've been having this dream for a while. It's something that you've wanted to do and it's finally happened. God's opened the doors, and just kind of talk to the audience about that. If God, maybe put this dream on your heart, and just kind of the road to get there, that waiting season. And, it's not always easy, right? That's things that I've definitely had to learn. It's like, gosh, it is. Even when he puts something on your heart, it is not an easy path to get there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Then you see, or you hear, the functional doctor that was just here. She's like, well, this is my dream, right? These are things that I would love to see. And I'm like, and you keep coming up for that. And I was like, oh man, that's a dream I have too. So in regards to my dream of Thrive and opening it definitely wasn't easy. I went through multiple different jobs to kind of find okay, is this what I want to do? And back in the lovely COVID era, I left my full-time job, paying salary, pregnant with my second, and I left that job to start working in the private practice field. And so I felt like that was just a God thing. And so since working in that private practice, this is what I want to be able to do. I want to be my own boss. I want to be able to help people in my community and help better my community. And so I was with them from 2020 until 2024. I was with them for a while. I learned the ins and outs of private practice. And then when we moved to Alito, I was like, I'm not driving to Keller. I'm not driving to Keller. And I was like, all right. So and they weren't willing to open up a practice down here. So I prayed on it and prayed on it and prayed on it. A lot like when I moved to private practice in general, it was just like a big, like, God moment of like, this is your time.
Yeah.
This is you're going to start your private practice and you're going to watch it grow and you're going to do all the things. Like, okay. And my husband was like, let's do it. So I did it. And then I was like, okay, well, am I going to be all virtual? Like, I don't have an office. I don't want to pay rent. How am I going to make this work? Right?
Yeah.
Like
all those scary decisions. Yeah.
About this, like, well, if I'm not making money, then I'm paying rent. We can't afford. We just built this new house and like, we can't afford for it. And I hop on the Alito Daily Buzz and there was office space for rent for $375 a month. And I was like,
oh my God. Hey guys, if you are liking this episode right now, would you do me a huge favor? Would you go and subscribe to our channel, leave us a quick 5-star review, and if you want to leave a sweet note, we love that too. And please just share this with another mom who needs a little bit of encouragement. We are so thankful for all of your love and support here at Gather the Gals. If you're looking for the perfect med spa, Radiant Aesthetics is it. Deanna is a registered nurse with over 20 years of ICU experience. She founded Radiant Aesthetics after much prayer and a big leap of faith. Deanna's mission is to help you feel confident, age naturally, and provide a safe, loving space where you are truly heard and cared for. At Radiant Aesthetics, it's not just about aesthetics. It's about connecting with people on a deeper level. Inspired by her favorite Bible verse, Psalms 34:5. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered in shame. Deanna created a space where you can shine from the inside out. Come visit Radiant Aesthetics and experience the transformation, because when you look to him, you are radiant.
Gosh. What? Oh my gosh. Wow. Walked in and owner was like, yeah, it's yours. Like, we have space. You can have it. You can move in February or move in at the end of the month.
Wow.
Okay. You know, and then I was like, crap, I don't have furniture. And I was like, well, again, I was kind of like praying about it. And they're like, God, you're going to figure it out. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Supplied all my office furniture through Facebook Marketplace.
The best, mind you.
Right? Right.
And literally have a whole house full of Facebook Marketplace furniture. I'm not above it.
Oh. And it's like also like from the community.
Yeah, girl.
It's like people who also like, I felt like, okay, this is like, it's from people from the community. Like, this is awesome to be like, well, that couch over there came from like down the street, or that came from like 2 houses down from where I'm at now, you know, like it's just kind of cool to be like, okay, like do they know where their furniture was actually going, like, and how helpful. Yeah
that's awesome.
So just how it has started, and like with the name, me and my husband were just like, man, what do we want to name it? And like as I was praying and just things that came up into my mind was like, thrive, just because like you are going to help people thrive. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, so we were like, okay, it's got to have thrive in the name, right? Then we have to go online and be like, okay, what's available?
Yeah, that's hard.
What's available for me to use? I was like, Thrive Counseling. Well, that one's taken. So like, okay, well, there's like, I was like, what about this or that? And he's like, taken. And I was like, right. Like,
yes.
Like, what if I just do, like, I'm a family therapist, Thrive Family Therapy. He's like, it's available. And I was like, that one. That's it. From there, it's just kind of organically grown, and
which is the best.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. So tell us a little bit more about exactly what it is that you do. So you just said family therapist. So walk us through that. Tell the audience, if they don't know you, things like that. Just give them a little insight into exactly what it is that you do.
Right. So as a family therapist, I can work with couples, but like I prefer more of like the communication, just kind of aspect. If there's any kind of more like in-depth, like infidelity or anything like that, that's not me. I will out. Like when it comes to like, I love working with families. I love working with the dynamics and like parents who Like, we don't know what to do with our kid. We're at our wits' end. Like, okay, let's figure out kind of what are some outside of the box things we can do.
Yeah.
Do we need to set some hard boundaries and then kind of let them learn kind of the hard way, as you will, like consequences. Or working with families who are in the newborn stage and they're just kind of like struggling. The couple of like, who are we? What do we do now that we have this kid? How do we kind of navigate those roles?
Yeah.
Or, say dad went to treatment and is coming out of treatment. And now it's like with the system again to get it back in balance.
Yeah.
The treatment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I like to do.
So good. I love that. And it's, my goodness, it's so needed. I'm like, I feel like every day I am talking to a friend or a family member, or even just you see like a random person and they're struggling in, motherhood, like as that family unit, like kind of like you said, like they may have a toddler who is having big emotions and tantrums or whatever, or my best friend yesterday was telling me that her son is 6, like our oldest, and in kindergarten, and is struggling with just people being, a little rude or mean. And he's trying to navigate that. And it's like, there's always stuff that goes into the family unit it's so needed to like work through. And so I love that. I think that's so good. So do you bring, a biblical or Christian perspective, or only if that's wanted, or how does that work?
So like I say, like I openly will talk about it, and most of the clients that I see are, and so that's helpful, but it is like on the website, like I have a like scripture, I can't think of how it is right now, but and it's all linked to like thriving. But yeah, I do come from that world.
I know. Yeah. And that's what one of my friends, she does different therapy and things. And she's kind of said the difference about like some do like more biblical based and some don't, some are more open, some are not. And she can tell the difference. And so I was just curious if more people like, are open about that, or able to just like navigate that way, or like how that works. But I guess that's true. If they're open, and obviously you're open, then that may be a good way to do that too,
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of like bringing that in, because sometimes I don't even think about it. I'm like,
right.
Like, how does this affect like your beliefs? How does this affect your beliefs? Do you have that? I'm always asking, like, and it's not just like, I also come from a very like holistic approach. So I'm coming in therapy, like if I'm seeing an individual and they're like, now we're just kind of like feeling run down and, anxious all of a sudden, never been anxious in my life. And I'm like, well, have you had blood work done?
Mm-hmm.
Thyroid levels? What's your iron levels? What are your like all these things? But I'm like, it's also, that's only part of you. Like if we're working on your mental and emotional health, if that's healthy in a sense, but like you have a thyroid disorder that you don't know about, or you have a missing link in your spiritual life, and like I'm just putting a Band-Aid on it. Like you have to kind of make sure that all things are working together and all things are healthy in order for you to truly feel happy, healthy, and thriving again.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that's, again, like I just literally today, I had a friend who was like, my kid is, showing kind of signs of like ADHD and things like that. And he's only 3. And I get this all the time, y'all. Like as a pediatric nurse, we have kids come in and their parents are like, they want us to put him on ADHD medicine and he just turned 3. And I'm like, ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. I'm like, come on, people. Yeah. I'm like, what is happening? And kind of like you said, like, I definitely agree with a more holistic approach too. And I mean, some like friends, I did it for my own kids, right? Like we started cutting different dyes years ago, and like the difference, just cutting that alone, watching their sugar intake, investing in the good stuff you're putting into your body, right? Like we talk about it with one of my coworker. She's a nurse, and we definitely do the same stuff where we eat and different things. And if you're investing the money in your food, even though, it costs a pretty penny, right? It stresses you out, but you're not going to go to the doctor as much spending your money there. And when you look at it that way, it is so true. And since I implemented different changes with my oldest, he's 6 now. And my daughter's like 18 months. Gosh, I probably should know. She's like 20 months now. I keep saying 18 months for the past like 5 months. I feel like it's just that third child, right? She is a completely different child. She is so much healthier with different decisions that we've done with her. She's literally never had antibiotics in her life. We just navigate things differently. And when you figure out that God gave you this body, this immunity, this gift that you're supposed to support in different ways. Yeah, there's a time and a place for medicine, right? Again, I'm a nurse, but it's so cool to hear you say that even as a therapist, because it is on the nursing side, it is so needed. And we have lost that foundation of where we actually started as a healthcare in general, who even started the hospital and all the things. It was Christians. And to have that all in line, all in balance. How is your spiritual life? Do you believe anything? Like, do you pray? Do you have a hope? Do you have a faith? What a cool way to be able to even just share the gospel with people, even if they don't, it's like, well, here's what I do and what helps me too. So that's really cool seeing that from your perspective too, because it is, if you miss church because your kids are sick, I feel like my whole week's off, and it's like just getting back to starting like, okay, well, what are you prioritizing in your family? And are you relaying that to your kids? Are you teaching them Jesus? They're never too young. My kids are just like, they're spitting Bible verses or prayers left and right. And I'm just like, he knows more than I do. I'm like, what is happening? How do you know these Bible stories? Like, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see. They're just little sponges, And so I know, my gosh.
The TCA. And so like, he will come home, like singing songs or like talking about, and I'm like, what? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Right.
Yes.
Those were songs I sang when I was a kid. So that makes it so much better. Like, wait, you know that song? And I was like, yeah.
Well, a verse that kind of keeps coming back to my mind, kind of like whenever we were starting and you were just, talking about God put this vision on your heart and you had this dream and things that the verse that keeps coming to mind is 1 Peter 4:10. And it says, each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others. And I think like nowadays, even like as women and moms, like we're both moms of 3, like we were talking, like our kids are literally all the same age right now. And you get into this like, this almost like this everyday constant, like you've just got to keep going. You've got to check stuff off your list. You've got to get this stuff done. You're tired. You need more coffee or more energy or Ilani or whatever you drink, right? And it's like, we know that. And it's like, we get that in our mind and it's like, just keep going. Just put one foot in front of the other. Just make it till the bedtime, which they get a second wind at bedtime, mind you. And my house is crazy. Like we do Bible studies on Tuesday nights and I'm like, I just keep having to push it back because I'm like, oh my gosh, like go to bed, children.
My middle didn't go to bed at 11 last night.
Sister, what is happening? Listen, my daughter is the same. She's just a hot mess. And she lately has been waking up at 4:30. And so I set my coffee at 4:45, y'all. That is when my coffee comes on. Yes. So if you are out there listening, send coffee because your sister needs it. But it's wild. And it doesn't take away the fact that God has placed you in this season of motherhood. And that's something that I feel the audience loves is because we're built to dream. God was a dreamer. He dreamt everything, right? He created it all. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes. And I know I have. And it's when you're little, you dream, right? You dream of all this cool stuff. And in your mind, you're like, I can do anything when you're young. And then we get into adulthood and we feel that sense of comparison or pressure or I'm not good enough or she's already doing it. Why should I or whatever? And then those dreams dwindle. But why are we not still shooting for the stars? It's okay that you have this dream that's from God, right? And he needs you to step up and step into faith. Kind of like you said, I feel he's calling me here. And then he made a way. You kept praying and you're like, there's no way that somebody is going to only make me pay this for an office space, it's mind blowing. Like it's funny you even say that. I've had this little dream kind of creeping in the back just over the past year of trying to get some sort of like that, an office space where I can bring people in and we can do this. We can do podcasts. We can bring women in together and have coffee or just whatever, just do life together. And again, it's like those fears start creeping in. Well, I'm already paying a mortgage here. I'm already paying daycare here. I'm already paying diapers here. I don't have the money to do that. But if that is his plan and you're obedient, he is going to make a way,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even though I've organically grown and I'm just hired as a therapist. Mm-hmm. And so even that in that moment, right? Like it's scary of like, oh no, like I'm in charge of this person's livelihood.
Yes.
But at the same time, and it's been a weird January. A lot of therapists have been talking about it. Like it's just been slow. Mm-hmm. And so, but also he's provided clients. He's provided things too, to where it's like, okay, like this is good. Like, and you just that leap of faith, having a little bit of anxiety in it.
Yeah.
But also now I'm like, okay, I can see that dream coming and I know that people are getting the help that they need.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you said, I still have anxiety because we're human. That is the thing that, again, I've had to learn even just with this. I tell everybody in my mind, I still say I'm not a podcaster. I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse, but I do this more than I do nursing now, but that's just how I'm ingrained. Right. And I still get terrified if I'm speaking or if I'm whatever, I was telling my husband, but it's a fun fear. It gives me butterflies. I love it. I love this part. Now, yeah, I still love nursing, right? But I've done that for 10 years. So it's like, I don't get the same butterflies or whatever. And that's okay, right? God called me into nursing and he gave me that gift. And then now he's calling me into this. And that's the thing too, that I had to learn and grow. It's like, I'm not just meant to be a nurse. Like I'm meant to be, first of all, a daughter of Christ, right? And then it's and then a wife, and then a mom, and then a nurse, and then a friend, and then whatever. Like you have all these callings. And so, yeah, I think that's so good. How you just said, you were obedient, you obeyed, because it is scary, right? Stepping into that unknown. Okay. I'm literally quitting my comfort and money that puts food on my kids' table. I'm leaving that and I'm saying yes to everything that you're telling me to do, Lord. And he provides. And that is so scary because I'm literally in that situation right now. I've been praying on this, do I continue with nursing? Do I go full in ministry? And it's a scary wake up call. It's like, okay, God, is this from you? Am I being obedient? And do you trust him enough that you have this faith, which is hard, right? Because your faith is always growing and you need those pivotal moments in your life where you do take that step and you do see his blessings, right? And it, like we said at the beginning, it's not always going to be easy and you are going to feel anxious, but you have your Bible as a tool to back you up and equip you with everything,
Right. Yeah. And even in taking that leap, there were some just in general, just moving and starting the business, there were some really scary moments. I was like, are we going to be able to afford this house? Are we going to be we built our dream home on our 5 acres out here in Aledo. And think about if I don't have a job and I don't have making enough, then I'm going to be able to afford this. And we've been dreaming our entire marriage. And so, but then still having that support from my husband and still leaning into the Lord and being okay, I don't know what you want me to do here, but I'm just trusting, walking blind, hoping it's out. Yeah. And we are a year later. So it is what it is. And great.
Yeah. I love it. I think that's so good. And sometimes that's what it takes is to go scared, to do it, to whatever he's putting on your heart, to just do it. And it sounds so crazy and so simple, but sometimes that's what we need to hear. Somebody told me that the other day, because I'm the person that gets so excited on something that I feel the Lord's speaking to me on. And sometimes I feel a lot of it. Like, I'm like, okay, he wants me to do this, wants me to do this. I'm like, how can I do all that? And so she's like, write it down, pick one and do it. And I'm like, it's not that easy. And she's like, why? It is.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's crazy.
It's like, it's hard because like, I'm the same way. Like, I'll visualize it. Like, this is what I do. But then I'm like, but that's not going to happen overnight. Like, how am I patient and like waiting of like, is this truly my dream? Is this truly what he's telling me to do? And I'm like, well, it keeps coming up.
Yeah.
I'm guessing so.
Right.
But that waiting and knowing, like discerning, like, is this for real? Or is this something that I'm just wanting for myself to better myself? Or is this to kingdom?
Yeah. And I think that's such a good question, because I think a lot of people do get stuck in that question of like, am I wanting this for me and my selfish gain, or is this truly of the Lord and from the Lord? And would we ever know 100%? Probably not. But I think it's where your motives are, right? It's where your heart is. And like you said, you feel like you want to serve the community. And that is God ordained, right? He needs that. He needs you to serve the community. He needs people to use the gifts that they have. And that's not always, going in third world countries and doing ministry, right? Like, it's flying planes, it's being a nurse, it's taking out people's garbage and cleaning houses. Like, anything you do it for the glory of God. And I think that's where so many people do get kind of scared of stepping into that dream, is like, they don't want to look arrogant or feel proud, or like, they want to be humble. And right. That's a great way to think about it and to look at it. But it's like, if your motives are God above all else, like you just want to be obedient, then do it, sister. Like, it sounds so simple, but yeah, I know we're all just so hard-headed, right? Like, because we don't want to look this way towards an outside people, but it's like, if you're serving God and he's calling you, and like you said, it keeps coming up, right? Like, that's something. And if you're in community, like, a lot of the times your friends may bring stuff out of you, or like be speaking about it, and you're like, gosh, this topic, it like keeps on coming up,
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as the therapist, a lot of people have asked me, like, do you go to therapy? And I'm like, well, now I do. Yeah. And it's just one of those things of like, so much stuff has kept coming up. Like, okay, this, like, in order for me to be a better person, a better business owner, better mom, better therapist, like, this is something I need to do too. And talking about getting that, like, everything back in line and back working, right? So yeah, I feel like that also is kind of one of those, like, yep, this keeps coming up. Okay. All right, Lord, going to therapy. Thanks.
Yeah.
So there's that too. The therapists do go see therapists.
I love that. Oh, that's so good. Oh my goodness. Well, Kelsey, it's been so good to talk with you. I mean, my goodness, it was just good to chat on all the things, and just, just letting our audience know that it's okay to dream, and it's okay that, God put this business or this whatever on your heart that you may be thinking like, is it okay to take this step? And like you said, is another name out there, and you searched and you were like, that one's not it. That one's not it. And then it's like the right one came along, and, people are already out there doing the thing. And so if you stop at that because somebody else is already doing it, like, you're simply holding yourself back, but you're holding the kingdom back too, because people are going to resonate and relate to you and your story and your voice, as a therapist, right? Like, there's so many therapists, but it's like, you specifically bring something beautiful to the table. And so I just want you to hear that, for anyone out there listening to this, because I get it all the time. They're like, what's the name? Gather the Girls? And I'm like, no, gals. Like, there's so many Gather the Girls out there. And I'm like, the gals is like old fashioned, right? Like, it's got some twang to it, And so It's different, right? And so, yeah, girl, I totally went through that same name thing,
Right? Yes. And I actually use your podcast a lot and tell a lot of my clients, I'm like, that are females and men. Do you like podcasts? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, go listen to this one. Okay. Because they're like, we're lonely or we're trying to figure out who
I know.
Life. And I'm like, go listen to this podcast.
Yeah, it's that season of, being a mom with young kids, and it's like your hormones are all over the place. It's just a stressful world we live in general, right? Like there's so much going on and hitting you left and right, and it's hard to navigate, So I mean, it is, we all are going through it. We're walking together, we're learning as we go. And, it's really, really good if you obviously have a relationship with Jesus, but two, if you have a community of support, and go get the therapy, we all need therapy. Like everybody I talk to, even these big name people who are in ministry, like they all have therapists. Like it's needed, it's needed to be open and to be vulnerable and talk about everything. Like God meant for that community, that real connection. And so I just think it's so good what you're doing. Thanks for gathering with me today. I hope you leave feeling a little more loved, a little closer to Jesus, and overall know that you matter. Life can be hard, but when we gather together, it makes it a little more sweet. I would love for you to subscribe to the podcast and find me on social media. We'll chat soon, sis.